Chapter 12. Conflicts. Conflicts everywhere. The first thing Angel noticed upon entering Shining Armor's office was how still it was. His desk sat along covered in papers of various scribbles, along with a mostly melted candle and a picture of two mares, one lavender and small, and one bright pink. Angel assumed the bright pink one was his wife she was currently scouting the room for. Plaques and small trophies littered the wall behind the desk, offering commendation for exceptional service, exemplary behavior, honor roll, and even varsity hoofball MVP. Angel found it kind of funny as she went to examine the trophies that one of them, the exceptional service one, was from a famous fast food chain, Sandwich Queen. There was also a picture of Shining Armor standing proudly in his red officer jacket and Princess Cadence in her beautiful white dress. Suddenly, the sound of hoof falls echoed over to Angel, and she spun around. 3 ponies, all dressed in black, were standing around the desk. Angel narrowed her eyes and whispered, "Ninja ponies, we meet again." Before any pony had time to blink, the 3 ninjas moved in on Angel, who was reacting accordingly. She leaned back and dodged a small silver shuriken as it spun by her head and buried itself into the wall. Angel swept the hoof out and caught one of the ninjas in the leg, causing him to fall over while the other 2 bore down on her. Angel quickly retracted the hoof and slid under Shining's desk as the 2 ninjas landed. They made the mistake of spinning around to see her, and she tackled one of them into the trophy wall. The ninja was stunned just long enough for Angel to deliver both rear legs to the face of the third. With one flying away, one in her grip, and the other just now getting to his hooves, Angel had the advantage. She grabbed a large trophy of Shining's and stuffed it onto the head of one of the ninjas she was holding onto, and then smashed her right front forehoof onto the side of it. The trophy dented slightly, but rang out a nice clear note loud enough to hurt the ninja's ears. She didn't even hesitate to throw the ninja into his friends, who was staring at her, unsure of what to do. The 2 collided and fell on the floor. Angel spun around and just barely dodged a hoof to the face. She leaned to her left to avoid the other hoof and countered with a kick. She landed right on the ninja's gut and he doubled over. She gave a quick spin to gain momentum and landed to a particularly nasty hoof to the face, sending the ninja back into the wall. She spun around again to see one of the other ninjas struggling to pull the trophy off of his head and the other trying to push him off. Angel ran to them and she threw the trophy-headed one into the wall of trophies again. The one on his head rang out a loud note again as he struck the stone wall, and the ninja collapsed. Angel stopped and stared at the final ninja, who jumped up to his hooves. "Who sent you? Where's the captain?" Angel growled to him. The ninja responded by dropping a smoke pellet that caused Angel to cough. She cursed herself for being a bat pony then, as they were sensitive to smoke and dust, which is why they preferred damp caves. Once the smoke cleared, the ninja was gone. Angel stood there proudly and knew that she would not rest until she figured out what happened to her superior officer, the great Shining Armor. At least, that's what she thought should have happened. She had somehow thought up that whole scenario in the 4 seconds it took her to push the door open for Princess Cadence. Inside the room, Shining sat behind his desk, shuffling papers. A set of regal golden armor Angel had never seen sat in the corner on a ponykin. 4 pictures sat on a wall behind him. One of him in the armor, looking awesome. One of a brilliantly blue unicorn stallion, smiling with a pretty white mare unicorn, who had streaks of purple in her mane, along with a younger version of himself and a small lavender filly. One was of both Shining and Cadence on their wedding day, and the final one was the 2 of them, overlooking a town from a balcony of the castle. He looked up and smiled at Angel and said, "Oh, Angel, just who I was looking for. Please, come in." Angel gave an awkward smile and stepped aside, allowing Princess Cadence to stride in gracefully. "What about me?" she asked in a hurt tone. Shining immediately got out from behind his desk and trotted up to her. "You never need permission to see me," he stated with a hint of playfulness in his voice. Cadence giggled sweetly and rubbed her nose against Shining's. Angel felt a little awkward standing there, but Shining Armor looked at her. "Oh yes, Angel, I have a special assignment for you. My wife, Princess Cadence," he stated. "Hi," Princess Cadence chimed in, waving a hoof at Angel. "She wants to go into town tomorrow night to get to know some of the ponies in Canterlot better. I thought you'd be a perfect escort for her due to your amazing social skills," he stated. Angel's eyes grew wide as she stared at the 2 ponies. She was being asked to guard the Princess of Love now? Angel cracked a huge grin. Sure, she liked watching Philomena, but how could she pass on that offer? "Private Angel Beats accepts this assignment, sir!" She almost yelled happily and gave a salute. Shining nodded to her happily, and Cadence smiled. "I'm sure you'll do just fine, Miss... I'm afraid I don't actually know your last name," Cadence said. Her nice smiling turned into an awkward grin. "Beats, ma'am. Private Angel Beats, but every pony just calls me Angel," the Bat Pony responded enthusiastically. "Oh, okay, Angel, Miss Beats. I'm sure you'll do just fine," Cadence said, her smiling now returning to one of happiness instead of awkwardness. "Then it's settled. Report to my quarters tomorrow at 1700 hours, and I'll brief you on the assignment. I would do it now, but I've got some more, pressing issues on my plate," Shining said in his best official tone. Angel saluted happily and trotted out of the door. It shut, leaving Cadence and Shining Armor alone. Cadence turned a sly grin to Shining. "Pressing matters, huh?" she asked sarcastically. Shining shrugged and said, "Hey, it worked on you when I was dating you." Cadence gave her sweet laugh that Shining could listen to all day and planted a soft kiss on him. "It doesn't matter. Being around my husband is the most pressing matter ever," she cooed to him. Up in the tall tower, Philomena cawed unhappily. Her guards were stiff and mean, ignoring the proud Phoenix as she tried to play with them. She missed that one guard who always played with her, the one with the really big golden eyes. Philomena was almost 1,000 years old, but that didn't mean she didn't like to play. Being in a stuffy tower, stuck on a perch for days, was really boring. Not to mention, Celestia almost always was too busy to see her pet Phoenix. Philomena pecked at the perch she stood on and scanned the room again. Same guards, same place, same faces they had been for the past 2 hours. She cawed loudly in frustration, hoping the guard would return soon. As for Valerie and Comet, the two sat down at a table, and Valerie made an attempt to teach Comet how to play Prodder. He was a quick learner, but he often forgot what the hooves were. He held out 4 nines and 2 princesses and smiled. "Straight flush," he stated proudly, and Valerie just buried her face into her claw. "That's a full house, and you're supposed to have only 5 cards," she repeated to him for the 10th time. Comet looked back to his hoof and scowled. "This game is too complicated," he mumbled to himself. He thought he was learning a game, but all he was really doing was annoying Valerie. Cards were not Comet's strong suit, since he had played board games when he was a colt. In fact... "I've got it!" Comet shouted abruptly, startling the Griffin. He jumped up and dashed off to find something, leaving the bewildered-looking Valerie alone. She sighed and started gathering up the cards, humming a song to herself. It took Comet a couple of minutes, but he returned happily with a box in his mouth. He set it down on the table, and Valerie peered at it. "Checkers?" she asked out loud, and Comet beamed. "Yup. It's a fun game. It uses a lot of strategy and requires some trickery, just like Prodder," he said with a smile. Valerie looked up at the oddball stallion and found herself starting to blush. She looked away and agreed to play. After about a half hour, Valerie was staring at the multicolored board of alternating red and black squares, intent on winning. Comet had 2 kings and 3 regular pieces left, but Valerie had a single king of her own and 5 regular pieces. This game was intense, as Valerie thought of possible moves and their outcomes. Her king was back against Comet's side of the board, blocked by 2 of his normal pieces. His kings were in prime location to take most of her 5 remaining pieces, but she moved one away. Comet promptly jumped her piece, and then another, and then another. "Hey, that's not fair!" Valerie shouted. "As a king, I can take multiple pieces if they're within jumping distances from each other," Comet stated proudly. He had explained the rules before Hoof, but Valerie must have not been paying much attention. Valerie grumbled to herself and looked back down to the board. She was now down 1 king and 2 normal pieces, but they were too far away from one another. Comet's pieces, however, had formed a nice little line with her king near the end of the far side. Valerie studied the formation for a minute while Comet leaned back, stretching his spine. He was very sure he was going to win. Valerie suddenly saw a pattern to his pieces and grinned to herself. She reached out, took her king, and jumped one of the blocking pieces, then one of his kings, then another normal piece, and then his other king. She looked up and grinned evilly to Comet and said, "Gotcha." Comet looked down to see her make her move and watched as his pieces were wiped off the board. His eyes widened to the size of dinner plates as she removed his black tokens, and he was left with just one piece on his side of the board. Valerie leaned back as well and clicked her claws together, smiling smugly to Comet. Comet, for his part, was rendered speechless by her move. It really didn't matter, though, since Angel busted through the door and jumped around on the table, singing happily about an important assignment. After 5 minutes of that, she noticed Comet and Valerie's game and wanted to play. The final score was Valerie winning with 7 victories, Angel with 5, and Comet with 2. He sat there dejectedly as Angel and Valerie rambled on about their victories. He was slightly mad at losing so much, but he wasn't going to be a poor sport about it. In fact, he was actually quite impressed both Valerie and Angel had beaten him like that. They were both smart, really smart. Comet liked that in mares, and found himself debating this in his mind about who was cuter on his scale. Angel, the ever-loving bat pony who spent a nice day snuggled up next to him, or Valerie, the griffin who was kind enough to apologizing about being foolish and had a great personality. Honestly, Comet thought they both had very nice features. Angel had those eyes and the figure to match. Since he had stolen a glance back in basic, he never forgave himself for doing. She was also his friend, and had even opened up some of her personal information to him. Valerie, on the other hand, was like a puzzle he had to solve. She revealed very little about herself, but that wasn't a bad thing. It kept him guessing about her. With his mind at war with itself about the two sitting at the table with him, he barely noticed a letter magically appear in front of him. Angel and Valerie did, though. They both grabbed it, and soon Comet was trying to pry his own letter from a black claw and a gray hoof. It took some time, but he eventually did. He opened the letter and read it to himself. Valerie and Angel watched with mild interest as his face grew from stoic to one of shock. "My parents are coming here?" Comet shouted.